Hi, my name is Sam Asher. I'm Executive Director of the Virginia Holocaust Museum, and you are here with me right now in the synagogue of the Virginia Holocaust Museum. This is the area where the Jewish American Hall of Fame behind me resides as a permanent exhibit, and I will tell you that thousands of school children have seen this exhibit over the years, and we continue to bring them to see it because it's so relevant to life in general, but also for Americans to see how prevalent and the fantastic impact that so many leaders had on the beginning of the United States, and certainly all the way up until today. So I'm sitting in front of the exhibit, which begins with people who helped Columbus, the Touro Synagogue, and I'll focus here on Chaim Solomon, who was a financier in the 1770s to help the Continental Army survive, and did numerous types of financing so that our country could come into being, and General Washington was able to have the effect that he had, and we were able to beat the British and start the most amazing country in the world. So I'm going to move down a little bit to another section of this phenomenal exhibit and talk about Commodore Uriah Phillips Levy. Commodore Levy is incredibly important also because through his life he was able to prove his love for the country in the Navy, but also over time was able to build up enough finances so that he had this estate and was able to leave Monticello in a trust that inevitably was deeded over to the state of Virginia. And we have the state of Monticello today, the estate of Monticello today, where people can see what went on Jefferson's estate. And it's fraught with some interesting problems because Jefferson was a slaveholder. And so this is, but it's also shown in the Monticello estate. Although fraught with problems, it's very important that the country, as well as the state of Virginia, has Monticello for many, many years, and we'll have it for the future to see what happened there with one of the creators of the United States and the brilliance of Jefferson in helping to start our country. I will go down to one more great, actually two more greats. One is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, passed away almost a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago during COVID. She was appointed by Bill Clinton and sworn in as the 107th Justice for the United States Supreme Court. Her amazing ability in the courts is very, very well known. A brilliant, brilliant person, and really a mentor, a figure for people to see as a great woman of stature in this country and in the law. And we are so pleased that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is part of the Jewish American Hall of Fame. I'll now move down to one of my favorite people who set another example, but her example was in the process of going to Israel, being one of the founders of the state of Israel, absolutely going from Milwaukee to Israel, and then coming back to America when needed in 1947 and 1948 to raise money to start the country. Ben-Gurion appointed her to go as the ambassador, not only to Moscow, but later to come here to help raise money to make sure that they had enough funding to complete the War of Independence. And so Golda Meir is a great hero to me, and I think should be a hero to many. Gave all that she had to help create the state of Israel. And now I'll move on to the current inductees for the Hall of Fame. And I am very, very pleased to present for your viewing pleasure, and I know you're going to induct them in your meeting in the next few minutes. The plaque for Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel, who are being inducted into the Jewish American Hall of Fame in 2021. I talked to students about this plaque a lot already, even though we've only had it a short time. If anyone looks up the word superheroes on the computer, there are many. It's incredible how many superheroes are up there. We're not only talking about Superman, which of course was first penned by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, and Batman and Iron Man and the Hulk and Captain America. And by the way, the latest Wonder Woman is an Israeli woman, which I think is wonderful. But when you look at when the first issue of Action Comics was released with Superman lifting a car above his head, it was April 18, 1938. And the year 1938, of course, is the year when Kristallnacht took place, the Night of the Broken Glass, on November 9 and 10. It was the beginning of the end for the Jewish people in Europe. It was the beginning of the most terrible atrocity known to mankind called the Holocaust. And it's interesting that Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster penned Superman at that time because the world needed a superhero. And I think it's been said that one of the reasons for the early success of Superman was how Siegel wrote about real issues that affected everyday people. And certainly at that, as time passed, Hitler's rise in Europe and his anti-Semitic words and negative stereotypes of the Jewish people pushed Siegel and Shuster to make heroes that defended the weak and tell the stories that would cheer Americans as things looked somewhat bleak. They certainly were writing at a time, and by the way, the superheroes were the United States Army, the Allied forces that came and freed Europe, even the Russian forces that came from the East, and the British and the Americans and the Canadians and the Australians who came from the West and freed many of the concentration camps. So it is poignant that we're bringing Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster into the American Jewish or Jewish American Hall of Fame. We wish you all well in your meeting, and I will tell you that many, many students will see this plaque and be told the important story that it represents.